I'm just going to talk through basics of using hubs, both as a user and as a content creator. It is just an environment that you can move around in, but there is some, let's call it interactive content in here. Videos that can be played, and that will increase, I guess, the learning experience for discussion and reflection. And I should also note too, I'm currently in here on my own, but the idea is that other users, other learners in the cohort can enter into here, and you can actually have, discussion in the moment, which is perhaps where the best learning will happen. Professionals sharing their experience prompted by the environment, the videos, and the learning materials itself. When you do have multiple users, you will have spatialized audio, so avatars near me, I'll hear. Avatars further away, I shouldn't as clearly. And I won't go into great detail, but there are a bunch of options. You have, reactions similar to what you'd see in a standard virtual chat program. You can also draw, you can take photographs, you can add models and GIFs and things into the scene as well, which is where it starts to become more of a learning space. Again, really basic functionality. And I would say too, I wouldn't expect these environments to work perfectly every time. But having said that, after years in the classroom, I don't think I ever found a classroom that was perfect either. You have to make what you can out of it for the learning. So that's just a quick look at what it's like for a learner in the space. I think what's more important here is to look at, well, how do we actually put it together? So just going quickly to the Hubs site. Mozilla have definitely developed the Hubs platform further. But if you go into Hubs Cloud, to me, this is where it becomes really interesting. Spoke is their 3D builder tool. I'd say it's not quite as developed as it hasn't gone quite as far along as Hubs has in terms of its development, but it is still a very powerful tool. It's in fact how we made that village experience. Once you're signed in, you're presented with a fairly basic project interface. You can create a new one from scratch. You can create a new one from a bunch of templates. The one I actually want to open up is not the village, it's just a backup version that I have where some things have gone wrong, which you'll get a very clear message saying that. Now I'm just going to take a bit of a leap of faith and say, okay, because the thing I want to actually show is you can see the environment isn't there. So my images and videos are there, links are broken, things aren't working particularly well. And really, this is kind of the biggest technical hurdle. If you can get used to the fact that things won't be perfect, they will break, they'll be a bit challenging, and they'll change over time, you can actually start to do a lot of really interesting and creative stuff. But in the environment, as complex as it looked, was really all it was down on the left here. I've got a bunch of different assets that I can add into the environment. And it was from Sketchfab, which is a large online 3D model platform, which you can get a lot of paid content and Creative Commons content like we get in Hubs. And I just happen to know the name of it. It was Kodioro Diorama Bake. So I can just literally drag on that once I've searched it, click onto it in place, and nothing's happened. That's because it's tiny. So I'm just going to increase it. So we've got all our assets visually in the viewport on the left, but then listed in the hierarchy on the right, and then some properties down below. So I'm just going to change that to scale of 1. Yeah, that's looking a bit more like it. Obviously, there's a lot of other things out of whack. I'd have to spend a bit more time putting that all back into place. But the point of this was that it was a couple of clicks to import the environment, which actually is a key part of, probably the key part of the learning experience. And then it's just a case of adding elements. So if I go back to the elements in the bottom left, you have all sorts of things. It is pretty overwhelming at first, but something as simple as video, I can just add a video in. It's got a preview option there. And then I can start putting a URL for my video in there. If you're looking for a seamless, perfect technical experience, then something like this is going to be quite challenging. What I actually think the greatest benefit of this is a learning experience whereby learners actually go in and do this part, build the environment themselves, make all the decisions about what goes in there, where things should be positioned, how things should look, what the implications of making those decisions are. When it's all kind of made for them like this, yeah, there's still a lot you can do with it. But to me, that's where the really exciting learning could happen. To use their skills and experience, draw on those to make determinations about the space. And it's immersive. So we're not just talking about things conceptually. They can actually be in the space, be with other users, have conversations. And as you make updates from the spoke end, it'll update into the hub's end. The hub site itself will have a great deal of introductory video content for you to use. So I hope you get in there and check it out.